It's the Exit 52 podcast, instant analysis, back for one final time to recap a Baltimore Orioles series here in 2024. My name is Jake Luke. We are presented, as always, by Jimmy's Famous Seafood. I'm joined by Eric Arditi. Who cares, man? That is a good way to put it. Who cares, man? Because for the past several months, I feel like this team has been telling us over and 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 over again. Probably could have thrown a few more in there. Who they really are, and they showed it to us yet again in this sweep. The Kansas City Royals, which I believe that makes a 10-game stretch here where the Orioles have not won a playoff game. They have made it, I think, 4 times in that stretch is the total count. Something in that neighborhood.
End of 14, 16, 22, yep. 23. So,
yeah.
Or 23, 24.
23, 24, yeah.
Who
cares? Who cares, man?
Who cares?
Yeah, I mean, this is I was ramping a little, kind of ranting a little bit on Twitter. Just trying to collect my thoughts because I don't think I'm going to be very coherent on this. I'm a much better writer than I am a speaker. So I kind of laid it all out that, Eric, to me, this is a comprehensive failure of a season. I mean, this is a season that had all the promise in the world. Man, I go back, what was that, 6 months ago? I hopped off a flight back from Los Angeles. We all met up kind of in the nick of time at the Jimmy's Famous Seafood Tailgate. This was the same day, I believe, that David Rubenstein had officially acquired the team. This was the same day that Corbin Burns got the ball in game 1 of the season, and that was the same day that they looked like the most dominant team in baseball. And I think what all 5 of us and what a lot of people throughout this area thought could be the best team in baseball and could potentially challenge for a World Series for the first time seriously since, 1997? They didn't come close. And like I said, they continued to tell us pretty much we can go all the way back to June. When, I remember you and I having the same conversation a lot of the time. You know what? They just got to get to the All-Star break. They got to, maybe get a little healthier, maybe get a little bit of a rest. Then they'll turn things around, and they just didn't. And man, we can talk about injuries. We can talk about going into the season being excited about a Kyle Bradish and maybe a John Means and those guys just getting shut down. And we can talk about being excited about a Grayson Rodriguez who really looks good throughout the season, but ultimately gets hurt. And we can talk about getting excited for an acquisition like a Zach Eflin, who I thought fought his ass off, and I'm excited to have back for next year. We can talk about Gunnar Henderson and the amazing overall season that he had, although I think pockmarked by some pretty bad stretches here. And this series right here was the nadir of it. We can talk about being excited. I mean, Jesus Christ, you know what I was thinking about was how excited we were talking about Jackson Holliday and Kobe Mayo, and Holliday came up early and had a horrific stretch. I think he showed some good promise this season, but overall just not ready. And Mayo, I said it in the Twitter thread, he was just a deer in the headlights. He was not ready at all. They were not ready. They didn't have the reinforcements on hand when that injury wave hit, and that to me is a failure of the front office. I think it's a bit of a failure of the coaching staff too, who just didn't have these guys ready to weather the storm overall. And you know what? They did what they had to do to make it to the playoffs. But man, looking at this team that they had assembled, and to an extent, I think, like I said, it's coasting off the success of last season and maybe being a little bit complacent. But you would have thought that they would have had a very good chance to be a home team on divisional round weekend, having gotten a first round bye. They barely squeak in as a wild card. They get that. I mean, I shouldn't say barely squeak in as a wild card, but I think you get what I mean as far as form, and how they looked. They get in there, and it's just a young, hot Royals team who has nothing to lose. Looked like they were playing with house money. They have some key veterans in big spots, like a Pasquantino, like a Salvador Perez, like these guys who just delivered in the series when the Orioles could not. I mean, and overall, I mean, there's been a lot of belly aching in this series about Brandon Hyde. There's been a lot of that throughout this season, and even going back before this season, I think. But to me, Eric, the story of this season is this offense is just not what we thought it was. I think the potential is still there. I think the core, as a term we like to throw around, is still there. But at this point, it's not a young core anymore. I think it's just your core. I think it's good. It's maybe not quite as good as we thought it was going to be. And I think that you have some serious questions about how you were going to augment, how are you going to amplify, how are you getting the most out of this group going forward? And that is going to fall flatly at the feet of David Rubenstein and Mike Elias. And that is all I have to say about that.
No, I mean, you nailed it. I thought your Twitter thread was great. If you haven't gone and read it, I think it was you put it perfectly. Again, I mean, you nailed all those things. we were, again, it seems like yesterday that we were sitting under the freeway at the tailgate and being like, I can't believe we're here. This is going to be it. Again, we watched, like you mentioned, Burns just mow down a bunch of Angels. And we're like, this is going to be so fucking great. This is going to be like, this is it. And again, I mean, just the way the season went, it slowly fell apart. Like you mentioned it, but just they're tired. You can see they're tired. They just need some breaks. Oh, well, the schedule's really weird. Once they get some days off, it'll open up and the guys will start hitting. Adley will come around. He's too good to be in a slump for this long. And, we knew Gunnar wasn't going to do Gunnar things all year. I mean, that's it's Aaron Judge. That's Shohei Ohtani. He's not in that category yet. He's not Bobby Witt,
Which, I mean, my God, like I hate to cut you off, too, but like Bobby, I mean, the top of the 2019 draft, Adley Rutschman, Bobby Witt, and who do you get in that second round? Gunnar Henderson. You know what? They didn't need to take Witt. They can take Adley. They can take that franchise cornerstone, important position catcher. Then they get Gunnar. And you know what? Maybe that'll still turn out okay. But God damn it, Bobby Witt made the 2 massive plays in this series from the plate, and he made a bunch of them from the field, and he ran the bases hard, and he ran them well. And that is just a gut punch.
Yeah, it's weird because like the 2014 Royals, I hated them. I still to this day hate them. I don't hate this Royals team. Like they didn't. I feel no ill will towards Bobby. Like I love Bobby Witt. I think he's incredible to watch. I don't hate any of these guys, but it's just, man, it sucks that it was them again and again. Just the way that it happened. Like you talked about it, the offense just all second half falling flat on their face, and then the last week we're like, oh my God, we got Westberg. The gang is back together. The band is all here. We got Ramon. We got Westy. We got Ryan. This is like the perfect time for them to come back. And then, man, they just, again, I mean, Mullins had, and it's very poetic that the whole second half is like, this team is all home run or die. That's the only approach. They scored one run in the series, and it was a home run by Cedric Mullins. So Mullins is the only guy who showed up. What do you have, 3 hits in the series?
And that's another thing I talk about on Twitter. Like that is one of the few guys here that can really appreciate these moments. And God damn it, he's the only one that is playing like it. These other guys, like, I hate to bag on them too much. I don't want to get personal because I still love them and I still think they have a lot of potential. But, sometimes you talk about young players not knowing that the moment is too big, so they just go out there and play with reckless abandon. Yeah. And I think we saw
that they're not supposed to be there.
Yeah, and we're seeing that right now with the Tigers, right, who go into Houston and they get that massive series win. They're heading on to the ALDS. We would have thought that would have been the Orioles last year. But man, it just feels like it was maybe a little too much, too fast success-wise, and all of a sudden the target's on their back, and I don't think they were ready for that to happen so quick, and it really seems to have taken a toll.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I got to pull it up here, the stats. Gunnar 0 for 7, 4 Ks. Adley 1 for 8, 2 Ks. Mountie 0 for 7, 4 Ks. Santander 1 for 8, 2 Ks. Westberg 1 for 6, 1 K. Colton Cowser 1 for 7, 3 Ks. And that leads to 1 run in 2 home games, and I think that's like a .093 average. Those are arguably 6 of your. I mean, that's 2/3 of the lineup. Those are your 6 best guys. You can put Mullins in there if you want, but again, he was the one who produced. But 4 for 43. I mean, I don't know. Again, nobody. They were all no shows. It was the approaches, the swings, the at bats. They were bad. We didn't even talk about the McCann at bats yesterday. The 3, I mean, that's when the game was lost yesterday, and that doesn't matter because again, they were going to go lose today. But I mean, and credit to the pitching staff. Credit the whole what we did bag on Elias in the front office. The whole kind of second half was like they didn't get enough pitching. They have to get more pitching. How do you not get more pitching? Gave up 3 runs and 14 hits in 2 games. That should win you a series. That should win you 2 games. The Orioles
with this offense, like we're talking about, that should sweep you a series. You should be going to the ALDS right now.
Yeah, that's like a good weekend for Gunnar and May. Like the pitching again. Credit to the bullpen. Credit to Corbin Burns. I blogged it and I said Corbin Burns' start yesterday may have been the best start since, including John Means no-hitter. Like it was disgusting. It was filthy. He was just that good. And again, I mean, today I thought Eflin was fine. He got, the one little not squibber, but liner over the bag. And he ends up The Royals did all the the little things. Again, you saw it yesterday. You move a guy over, oh, Bobby Witt's up. Oh, there's a guy on second. What do you need? A ground ball to the right side. What does Bobby Witt do? Goes with a pitch, ground ball to the right side. And then boom, he's on third. He scores. It's game over. The Orioles didn't do that. They haven't done that in a long, long time. It's been months and months and months. Again, the gap to gap hitting, the guys going first to third. It was not there. I don't. People want to blame Hyde. You can blame Hyde. People want to blame the hitting coaches. No one had any issues with the hitting coaches last year in the first half of this year when they were awesome. Whatever. I think I said it. It's like, if you want to fire them, whatever.
There's plenty of blame to go around everywhere. These players, these coaches, this front office. And you know what? I'll give Rubenstein a pass because like we said, he was not there for the acquisitions this past offseason. But, his target is about to be on his back if he doesn't open up the checkbook and if Elias doesn't have the courage to do what needs to be done.
Yeah. Yeah. They got it. I mean, there's plenty of things that they have to go do. Again, I think I don't know what you changed on the coaching staff. Again, the Hyde thing tonight with the bullpen, I was just like, what? Like, I didn't like bringing in Cano to face Bobby Witt, a ground ball pitcher versus like the fastest player in baseball. And shocker. I mean, again, you can question Westberg's play. I think that's a tough play, like reaction wise. If you have no time to think, that's what I'm sure he knew. Like, I can't, if he blinks, they're both safe, and they were, but I don't know. People want to fire Hyde. Sure. Do they want to bring in Buck Britton? All right. That's not going to do anything, Let's bring in a younger guy with even less experience. Yeah, that'll work.
That's kind of what I was going to say. Like, if you're going to fire him, like, it's got to be a big name. Like, it's got to be a guy that's been there and done that in the World Series before. Like, it can't be a Buck Britton. I've seen Ryan Flaherty thrown around. No. We saw what the Cubs did with Madden. Like, we've seen teams do this before. Like, we saw, like, Bochy last year. Like, it's got to be a guy that's been there and done that. And, like, if that guy's out there, fuck it, I'm doing it, because I'm good with what I've seen on this team the last 2 years in the postseason. And, like, Hyde seems like a good dude. It's nothing personal against him, but, like, again, if that option becomes available, I think you pull the trigger.
Yeah, somebody at Pickles last night was like, "What about Tito Francona?" And I was like, "I don't think Terry's. He's had the health issues and all that." But
that's again, the Belichick for the Ravens thing that people are throwing around. Yeah, like I'm good.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm with you. I know we talked about it before too. It's like, you got to go get a guy who's been there and who's won in October and is a leader and can, straighten guys out when they are not on the straight and narrow. And maybe that guy is Hyde, maybe it's not, whatever, I don't know. It's not going to get fixed tonight or tomorrow. God, I don't know. They just, they get healthy. And again, the injuries are not an excuse. Every team has them. It's just, I don't know. I'm scrolling through my mentions and it's all just a cesspool of dipshittery and fuckboys, but man,
a lot of rep BS hashtags and
yeah. And Lamar Lover 420 telling me that, I don't know.
Is this a real person that you need to have a face-to-face conversation with?
I just always see these Lamar, whatever. Good for Lamar. Go keep winning. I don't know. I don't know. Again, the body is still warm. It's sitting right there. The sheet's still on it. Snot Boogie's laying on the ground. It's America. He can play, whatever. You know that.
And like Michael Scott said, the good thing about the American dream is you can just wake up the next day and try it all over again tomorrow.
Yeah. It's a frustrating. I think I'm in the blog. It's a disappointing, infuriating, frustrating. It was kind of, again, like you kind of knew this team the last couple months. They're not going to win a World Series. I thought they could have, we saw the flashes and it's like, you know what, man, if we can put this together, why can't they make a run? The AL's pretty open. Again, they're not afraid of the Yankees. They're not afraid of going to New York. Guess what? They don't fucking get to go to New York. That's what it comes down to. So I don't know. It sucks. It's like you said, a failure. This is a dumpster fire of a season. Nothing that could have gone right went right, and again, that was very evident in the games today. I mean, every play that the Royals needed to make, guess what? They made it. Yeah, Michael Massey laying out, making that play. Gunner's ball, that's 3 inches shy, 3 inches.
Arias hitting it at the wall, and who was that? Melendez. ran that down. I mean, like that's crazy. And like ultimately, like my main point is, and we've got A-Rob in the comments and a couple of people talking about the unlucky. Like, totally get it. Like I'm with you guys, but at the same point, like you've got to set yourself up to make your own luck. And I think the Royals just making those couple extra plays,
the right plays. I mean,
yeah, that's just what sets you up to be lucky, right? I talked about it. I talk about it. It's what the Chiefs do so well that nobody talks about. Everyone's like, oh my God, Mahomes just runs around and heaves it deep and makes a play. And he certainly has those. And they give me a freaking heart attack every time because I hate that team and I hate Kansas City now more than, pretty much any city on the face of this earth. But guess what? They also do like 99% of the little things right. You go back to those, and again, another cross sport thing, but I know much more about football than I do about baseball. Like you go back to those Patriots teams, there was just those death by 1,000 cuts offenses that Brady would run. Like you just do the right things over and over and over and over again. Sometimes you get unlucky, but like when you set yourself up to have better luck, and I don't know, I don't think this Royals team is like great or going to go win the World Series by any stretch, but like that's good enough to get you through a series against a team that has been struggling for the better part of the past 3 or 4 months. And I'm not gonna let them off the hook for luck in this one. I mean, they just, again, it's the offense, man. Like you got to have a look in the mirror here.
And that's what I wrote too. I was like, there's, a lot of these young guys, like we talked about, like they've never experienced. And Hyde said that, man. Hyde in the press conference, pissed. What did he say? I thought we battled. You scored 1 run in 2 games, my guy. You didn't battle. Like I think we can just say that you didn't battle. But again, a lot of these guys, I mean, this is the first time that they are feeling, getting the failure and going through these stretches. And this, I mean, we've said it. Hopefully, it makes them better. And we said that about Texas, being like, you know what, them losing and pulling the Stephon Diggs and sitting up on the top step, maybe that'll motivate them and it'll make it better for them in the long run. Well, guess what? Now you have another one to add to it. So they're celebrating on your field again. They're doing all that. They're partying probably still in the clubhouse, and the Orioles are, making tea times and getting flights and filming TikToks and getting on out of here. So
that's a good thing about being a player is you just go back to all your money and your great life. And, again, I'm sure these guys are going to take it hard, but like, fuck, man, like we got to go to work tomorrow, bro. This shit is
I literally was like, damn, I just set my alarm for 8 a.m. tomorrow. Like, man, this sucks. But what did LeBron say? Like at the end of the day, I'm still when I wake up tomorrow, I'm still going to be rich. It's like, yeah, that must be nice.
Yep.
That must be nice. Meanwhile, I'm going to go eat some Costco chili after this, which is absolutely delicious. It's a great bowl of chili.
Okay. Are you going to give it a boom or a doom?
Oh, it's a boom. I had a big bowl last night, sitting in the dark, watching the TV was the only light on in the room. And I was just sitting in the dark, eating a bowl of chili at like 11:30. And
you sound like Banks. Like that's a Banks move.
No, Banks went. The best was when the Ravens lost. I think it was one of the New England losses, and he just went to a restaurant, went live on his phone, and ate a steak for like 50 minutes and didn't say a word by himself. Like just sat there.
The guy just gets content. I mean, listen, he's he's on top of it.
His brand is flourishing. There's never been a better time to be his brand. But I don't know. I just keep thinking back to the disgusting at bats from Santander and
I mean, we got to talk about bases loaded, no outs.
I don't want to. I
mean, Colton Cowser turning on a fastball and fracturing his left hand and trying to stay in the game. Credit to him, but he gets taken out.
Yeah.
Curious decision, I think, to put Slater in for O'Hearn and then go to Kerstad and then he's out there in left field. Like it's just that's some of the coaching stuff with Hyde where I'm like, man, like we got to at least have a baseline here. Like, and that is just not encouraging to me at all.
No. And then again, what does Slater do though? He comes in, gets a hit. Sick. Like,
like credit to these guys. They like they should not even be like on an MLB, final roster right now. And if they should be at the very back. They shouldn't be seeing a critical at bat like that. Like that's just, and it goes for a lot of this pitching staff too, who, like you said, battled their ass off in the series, not just Burns, but, all these guys today who gotten some jams. I mean, Jacob Webb, he loaded him up, he racked him up, and then he got out of it with a strikeout. That was good to see. Coulomb, I thought was solid again. Perez, a little bit. And then Cano, just the one little Bobby Wick, just Kansas City beating you with the bloops and the little, little
Definitely
grounders.
1,000 paper cuts.
Yeah.
I can't wait to do this in 2034 and have Bobby Witt Jr. and Salvador Perez, who's 86 years old, still just like dropping a blue pin. And
The Orioles will have the Orioles will have fucking Jackson Holiday Jr. and like he'll be the new face of the young core, and they'll go and get one big offseason acquisition, their first since Corbin Burns, and he'll go out there and shove from the mound, and then they'll fill their pants again on offense, and we'll be right back here talking about it all over again. Very good stuff.
Probably. I don't know. I just keep going back. I can't get over how the no-show of the offense again. I mean, they look good in New York. They look good in Minnesota.
Great in Minnesota.
I mean, Reagan's good yesterday. He wasn't unhittable. Seth Lugo today, they have their chances. They absolutely did. And the approaches and like I don't know. I'll never get the bases loaded and outs. I'll never get over McCann swinging 3 times at balls that were not even close, And I don't know, people yesterday were like, "Oh, you got to pinch run Jackson for Ryan O'Hearn last night." I go, they didn't fucking hit. Who cares? So you get a same ball out there. It didn't matter. Heston struck out on a ball 8 inches off the plate. Like he was, like he knew he was swinging before that pitch even left his hand. Like,
and why is McCann even in the lineup?
He hits lefties. Brennan Hyde loves guys, switch head.
And who likes to throw to James McCann because he doesn't trust Adley Rutschman?
Uncle Corby. Joe Corby. Uncle Corby can do whatever. He can do whatever he wants.
I don't blame that on Corbin Burns one bit. Adley Rutschman was an abject failure this season. He wasn't that
the gun today,
but he had the gun today. Hey, that's great. Let's see a little bit more of that next season. Gonna need to see a lot more next season, just across the board.
Yep. And somebody asked Hyde in the post game, and they said, what? It was Rich Dubroff, and Hyde got kind of pissed at him. He said, what's going on with Adley? And he goes, I've answered this question a million times, and he's like, he's a young player who's going through an extended slump, and he needs to figure it out, and he'll have a long off season, and blah blah blah.
I don't need Hyde getting testy there, by the way. You answered it a million times. Answer it 1,000,001. You can go play golf tomorrow and not fucking talk to these people until March. Like,
yeah, he'll be up there in Hobbits. What did he play? Timbers?
Timbers. Yeah, he might be a Timbers guy. Yeah, I know Wink was out at that place out in Frederick. I forget what it was called. Thought it might have been that
Whiskey Creek.
No, it's open to the public. What is that place called? First place that broke 100. I don't know why I can't remember it.
I don't know.
Who could say, really?
I don't know. Again, I just keep coming back. Frustrating, disappointing, infuriating. Just I still don't have the taste from 2014 out of my mouth, and I don't think this taste is going to go away any quicker. And again, like literally last night, I'm laying there and I'm like, oh, this tomorrow could be Tony's last game in Orioles. Tomorrow,
Link's Excel. Thank you, Brandon Hybrid. Link's Excel.
Yeah. But I doubt Burns comes back. Who knows about Santander? He dropped the 0 his contract. I don't know. It's going to be a very interesting offseason. We said going in from the 2022 to the 2023 in that offseason, we were like, this is going to be the biggest offseason in Orioles history. This may be the biggest offseason in Orioles history. There's a lot of decisions that should be made, could be made, extensions, free agents, trading, things like that. There is a lot that is going to be on the table. And again, you mentioned it, the heat is kind of on, and he's on the team for like 6 months, 3 days or something, but it's kind of time to put up, David, we got to get something going. And because like you said, this young core is not a young core, it's a core. And now we're seeing why people are like, yeah, I got no problem trading prospects. We can't hoard these guys forever. I got no problem trading these guys. I want a winner. I fully expect that they will be a World Series contender next year. There's a couple pieces that make, that they need to bring in to make that a reality. And I think they have to do it. We don't have the in 2 years, this team is going to be good. This is good. Look at the White Sox. They won the division in 2021 and now they're, 121 losses. So they've got to figure shit out. There's a lot of stuff they have to figure out. Like you said, a lot of soul searching, a lot of guys have to look in the mirror. What's the meme? Or the guys like
get in there and make it about.
Get in there and make it. The words don't matter, but the words don't match, but the meme itself is like, that's the good part. But I don't know. I posted the Lord Jesus, I've seen what you've done to the dinosaurs, and I want that for me. I still have that feeling. Again, tomorrow's going to suck. The next couple of weeks are going to suck. I got to fucking root for the Royals. You're going to make me root for the Royals? I'm not rooting for the Tigers. I'm not rooting for Cleveland. Like, I'm not rooting for Philly. I can't, man. I guess it's Manny or bust, Give me the Padres, and
I'll root for the Mets or the Brew Crew.
No, I have a bet with a high school buddy that the Orioles would win a World Series before the Mets. So,
well, you're betting anything on the Orioles to win the World Series was probably.
Well, this is in 2007, where I'm like, oh, but like the Mets were Metsing as hard as the Mets could ever Mets back then, and they still.
And 2007, that was prime time for the Orioles, so you got me there.
Oh, Luke, Scott, Aubrey, your guy Aubrey Huff. I know you have the jersey just out of frame, but
yeah, actually, I got it right over here. Fucking strangle you with it.
I can't believe they traded for an ace and they did nothing with it.
Yeah, and guess what? What's so frustrating about that, and like you get all these Yankee fans and all these people coming in our mentions, and it's such a gut punch because they get a guy like that every fucking year. That is the first acquisition like that I have seen in my lifetime with this team, and they just completely wasted it. Not only wasted it, but they wasted it in the most like William Shakespeare-esque fashion I could have ever seen. Like, he couldn't have written this shit up with how tragic this ultimately wound up ending up, because he's probably going to leave, and that'll be our lasting memory of him.
I do
and
hope I haven't seen any. Go on. I haven't seen a picture of him in the Scott Boras hat like Cole did after he lost the World Series and like immediately put on the Boras Corp hat. So we're not there yet. We are not there yet. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, yeah, maybe he stays. Like, here's what I'll say. I do think David Rubenstein is serious about winning. I just want to see a little bit. Like, I don't want to say a little bit. Like, I just want to see it like very soon rather than too late. Because, like, man, like you said, they got the core right now, but you got to start spending pretty much right now. And we wanted to see the extension. We wanted to see the Adley extension. Might have been a smart move not to do that. We wanted to see the Gunnar extension. It hasn't happened yet. A lot of guys that you could invest your faith in the same way the Royals did Bobby Witt. We haven't seen that yet. So if they're not going to do that, at least go and supplement these guys with serious veterans who can help them make a push through the postseason. I think early on, I'm optimistic that Rubenstein is serious about doing that. I really hope Mike Elias does not galaxy brain himself into not doing it. I am not 100% convinced that won't happen, but we'll see. Alex Bregman on the market. Mike Elias ties. We'll see about that. Could be interesting. And yeah, just overall, it's just I am cautiously optimistic that we will see these investments that we're asking for. But if they don't, like I said on the thread, like, we're just going to have these same conversations, these same tired conversations about attendance and about how they're postseason chokers and how about they're a small market team, the little brother to the Yankees and the Red Sox, who have gone out and spent big money on big stars. I mean, those teams have been on a magic carpet ride for the past, 30 years. And I know that like the Yankees don't really have the World Series to show for it, but like, my God, like, those are ownership groups and cities and markets that you can make this happen a little bit easier than you could with the Orioles. And right now we're still kind of dealing with this kind of, it takes a while to move on from a situation as toxic as the Angelos situation had gotten. We're still kind of in the doldrums of that. We haven't even come out into the breakers. And like I said, to really kind of ignite my faith that we are going to be out of it sooner rather than later, I just like to see some tangible investment this offseason.
Yep. Again, it's going to be a long one. It's going to be a sucky one. It's going to be interesting. There's going to be a lot of articles. There's going to be a lot of here's what they should do. Here's who they should fire. Here's who they should trade. I'm getting the text being like, you got everybody but a Gunner is on the table. It's like, sure,
okay,
whatever, whatever,
yeah.
man. Sure.
All right,
go for it. I don't care. Who cares, man? Who cares?
Why wouldn't Gunnar be on the table after how he played this series? I mean, fuck, man. Just get rid of him too, right?
Who cares? Sun's gonna explode one day. We will all die. Send us to the big star. I don't know. Send us somewhere.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Sucked listening to Jessica Mendoza. Have to like, what did she say? She said something and she was like, I'm just so happy for Bobby Witt. I wanted to be like, shut up. Like,
I
stop
support
that.
women. I support women in sports. So I don't know what you're talking
So
about.
do I. I love all women in sports, but
Maybe not
Jessica
all
Mendoza.
by the sound of it.
I did not need to hear Jessica Mendoza after Bobby Witt beats out a single being like, I'm happy for Bobby Witt. While Ben McDonald's over there, I'd probably being like,
how about Ben McDonald's earnest attempt at objectivity like this?
yeah,
These
that's the thing. He's like trying to play right down the middle, and she's like, look, I'm so happy for Bobby. Good for him. It's like
he's probably just sitting there like shaking in his seat, just fucking seething. Like I know he was, but like he was just like he was like going out of his way, like, oh, maybe that pitch did hit him when they like tried to challenge that hit by pitch. I was like, all right, man, we know what you're doing.
Yeah,
here.
I
don't want this to be the last time I hear you in 2024 fucking caping for this Royals team. God, just put me out of my misery.
And again, that's why I didn't need to hear Jessica Mendoza saying that. Like, oh, look at cute little Bobby Witt and his little 11-year extension. I'm so happy for him. Go blow him down there then. I don't like get out of here. I don't know. Sucks. Can't wait to go look at my waiver wire tonight for fantasy football, and that's the only thing I have to look forward to.
How's your team doing?
Which one?
How about in the one that we're in together that I beat you in?
Who cares, man? Who cares? I drafted Anthony Richardson as my quarterback. Who cares?
Should have picked up Flacco.
Yeah, it's my yearly donation to whatever league I join. Here's $50. I might as well just rip up 50. It's like March Madness. I might as well just rip up $200 every year and we'll go from there. But yeah,
God, I can't wait for March Madness. That's gonna be so sick.
I'm sure it won't. I'm sure nothing will go the way that sure everything will go the way that we want it to. Everything will be fine. Sports are great. I love everything about it. I love all the sports. Yay, sports. Sick.
At least my football team got a big win on Sunday night. That helped.
Yeah, at least my quarterback has a fucking dumbass face every single week after he fumbles it backwards and laterals it to a lineman every week. So
what's going on there? Is it Mason Rudolph season officially?
Who cares, man? Who cares? Who cares?
All right. Is that a show?
Yeah, as I'm scrolling through Bobby Witt Jr. smoking cigars in the visitors' locker room.
Yep, I will be turning off the X app for the night after we're done with this. So
yeah, we may be doing some video games and some chili.
Yeah.
Live action Rugrats movie is unfortunately in development.
Is that the lights camera?
Yeah, lights camera bars. That may be my best. I hated Rugrats growing up. I was like the only kid. That's like one of my other hot takes that everybody always gets on me for.
I liked it. I was maybe a little young for it. I mean, like I know it was about babies, but like that was more of like Nickelodeon right before me. Like I was more on that SpongeBob wave. That was kind of right in my wheelhouse. So.
See, I wasn't SpongeBob.
Yeah, you missed out on some good memes.
Maybe if I got into SpongeBob, maybe I wouldn't have been like a diehard sports fan like this and just not gotten my. You posted it earlier from Brandon and being like, why do we do this thing that 99% of the time ends in like the worst pain and misery you've ever felt? Like,
and you do it every year across multiple teams, so you're just getting your heart, just a stake driven through your sternum by multiple teams. You know, it could be 4 depending on what city you're from. It's 2 in my case, and I know 2 in yours. And you could argue more, obviously, for both of us. But for our 2, I mean, it's every single year. This seems to happen, and every single year we just seem to throw our hands up. Like, how did this happen? Like, I'm gonna fucking lose my mind. Like, it wasn't my team again. How could this have ever happened? And it's Titus, like he said, you convince yourself somehow that every single year it's going to be your team. And then all of a sudden here you are sitting, recording a podcast talking about how it's, comprehensive failures and things of that nature. Done that, 6 or 7 times with my other team. And now here I am for the second one for this team. And man, it's starting to get a little old. Let me tell you, I'll still be here though. Don't worry. I'll be here every year. It continues to just rip my heart out. Maybe if one of my teams wins a championship, I'll just walk it off. I'll just put the mic down, drop the mic, as they say, and walk off.
Probably what you'll end up doing, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. And
Sorry,
I'll get off Twitter. I'm not hopelessly addicted to that. I'll start working out more frequently. I'll, go back to school. I'll do all the good self-improvement stuff. It'll make me into a real self-actualized adult that I've been putting off.
I can't. I wish I was Jimmy Carter right now. I would love to be Jimmy Carter.
You're kind of giving me some Jimmy Carter vibes. I feel like if he were recording a podcast right now, he'd sound and look like you do.
God, I wish I was him. That would be so sick.
I'm gonna start doing like I've shown you the Tim Heidecker Jimmy Carter update, no change in status. I'm gonna start doing RDT update, no change in status.
No change in status.
Yeah. Who cares? We wait for the Orioles to make a big move for 4 fucking months.
Who cares? Who cares, man? Whatever.
Oh, who cares?
Who cares? Whatever. But
who is he? Who is he?
No, yeah. It's fucking. I don't know. That's all I got.
Okay. Well, that was our venting session about this series in particular. We'll have a little bit more content, regrettably, on the Baltimore Orioles next week. We'll do a full postmortem of the 2024 season, a season that was not without its really good moments, I would say, but they mostly happened throughout that first half, like we said, and all the belief and potential that led us to the spot right now that is just utter desperation after it just came crashing down in our faces, not quickly, but in slow kind of rot you to the gut type of pace that ended pretty much how it went for those 4 months. And yeah, like we said, a lot of questions that we're facing in between now and then, but I do want to sincerely thank everyone who hung with us throughout these instant analyses. This one in particular, but also the ones all throughout the season. And I would say especially the diehards who were there when things started to turn sour. They weren't always the most fun thing to record, but if you're recording a podcast about, your favorite baseball team, there are worse things that could be happening to you in your life, I would imagine. So we're all very blessed, right? That's what we need to remember here. Sports aren't that important,
Who cares, man?
I got great friends.
Sports.
Yeah. No man is a failure who has friends. And I've got a friend in you and a friend in the other 4 clowns and a friend in everyone that listens to the show. So thank you all for your participation. Ravens content, time to kick that thing into full gear. I'm sure that won't end in postseason disappointment either. So yeah, can't wait for that in a couple months. That's going to be great. Tune in, every week while we're breaking that down, and we'll get the intermittent Orioles content going. We'll take probably a little bit of a break from it after we do that postmortem and then fire it back up as winter approaches in earnest and discuss what this team needs to do to get this thing back on the rails and hopefully moving in a positive direction. Like I said, thanks again, guys. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and subscribe to us here on YouTube. Comment on all the videos to get the algorithm pumping. Recommend us to a friend. Spread the podcast through word of mouth. That is a great way to do it as well. If you liked what you heard listening on your podcast feed, subscribe to that. Leave us a review. Do whatever you got to do. If you want to follow us on social media, you can find me at Jake Luke on X. That's LOUQUE. Eric is at EDITTI22. You can find Banks or maybe not find him. I'll have to check his status after this one. He doesn't take these losses very well. If you haven't picked up on that over the years, at Barstool Banks. You can find Spenny, probably 3 sheets to the wind at Pickles right now, just drowning his sorrows at Ravens 4 Dummies. That is the number 4.
Was he at the game? Did he go?
I think he was, yeah. Didn't he go?
Yeah, I think he went, yeah.
Yeah, and then Taylor at Taylor Smythe 10. So, like I said, we'll be checking back in with Ravens content soon, talking a little bit of Orioles next week. Appreciate you guys once again, and we'll see you then.